In a decisive statement ahead of the Malaysian Grand Prix weekend, Ducati Lenovo team manager Davide Tardozzi confirmed that Marc Marquez's full recovery from his shoulder injury remains a top priority, even if it means missing the crucial Valencia post-season test. The announcement marks another major development in Ducati's turbulent end to the 2025 MotoGP season, one characterized by injuries, inconsistencies, and mounting pressure within the Bologna-based camp. While many fans and insiders had hoped to see Marquez return before the end of the season, Tardozzi has made it clear that Ducati will not rush the eight-time world champion's recovery process, emphasizing long-term health over short-term development.
Welcome to GP Time. Don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates.
Marquez will miss the final two rounds of the 2025 MotoGP season in Portugal at Portimão and Valencia, as well as the post-race Valencia test scheduled for November 18th and 19th. The test is particularly significant as it serves as the first trial of the 2026 prototype machines, giving factories an early glimpse into next season's performance packages. However, Ducati will have to proceed without the critical feedback of Marc Marquez, whose technical input and adaptability have already proven invaluable in shaping the Desmosedici GP. It's a shame that we can't have Marc there at the Valencia test, Tardozzi told MotoGP's World Feed during Friday Practice 1 at Sepang, but it's more important that he recovers from his injury 100%. We know very well Marc will miss something having him not there, but we are sure that he will recover everything from the first test of 2026 here in Malaysia. Having Marc is always a plus. The 32-year-old Spaniard continues to rehabilitate the shoulder injuries he sustained during the Indonesian Grand Prix, where he was taken out on the opening lap by Marco Bezzecchi in a high-speed collision. The crash caused significant ligament and bone damage, forcing Marquez to undergo surgery and end his season prematurely. The loss of Marquez's presence at Valencia is a significant setback for Ducati, which is already grappling with form fluctuations among its other factory riders. Francesco Bagnaia has endured a frustrating spell marked by 3 pointless finishes in 4 rounds, while Fabio Di Giannantonio has struggled for consistency throughout the year. The team's rookie, Fermin Aldeguer, though promising, has limited experience compared to Marquez and is still adapting to the GP24 machinery. The Valencia test was expected to play a vital role in setting Ducati's development direction for the 2026 season, particularly given growing competition from Aprilia, KTM, and Yamaha's revitalized project. Without Marquez's feedback, Ducati's technical department will rely heavily on data from Bagnaia, Di Giannantonio, and Aldeguer. Yet, Tardozzi remains confident that the setback will be temporary. Marc's understanding of the bike, his experience, and his sensitivity with setup changes are exceptional, but health comes first. We prefer to have a fully fit Marc at the Sepang test rather than a half-ready one in Valencia. In Marquez's continued absence, Ducati appears ready to hand an opportunity to rising world SBK star Nicolo Bulega. The 25-year-old Aruba.it racing Ducati rider, who has really impressed during his rookie season in the World Superbike Championship, is being lined up for a MotoGP test at Jerez at the end of October. Bulega has openly expressed his interest in testing the Desmosedici GP, emphasizing just how important it is to get familiar with the 1000cc MotoGP prototype ahead of a possible future role as Ducati's development rider. During the World SBK finale at Jerez, Bulega stated, "I would prefer to make a test before racing it. It's important to understand the bike's behavior and the Michelin tires. Everything is different from Superbike." Tardozzi confirmed that Ducati is finalizing plans for the Jerez test, saying, "It's something we want to do because we want him, Bulega, to be confident with the bike for his job in 2026, where he will help us develop the new machine. Having know-how about the MotoGP bike will help him in the future." The test is expected to coincide with the World SBK Michelin tire test at Jerez on October 29th and 30th, though Ducati has not yet finalized the exact schedule. Tardozzi added, "The test will be in Jerez. It's something we would like to do. We are still discussing it with him, but we think it could be better. Everything will be decided after this race, the Malaysian GP." With Marquez sidelined, Ducati faces the challenge of maintaining its technical edge and team morale as the 2025 season draws to a close. Despite losing a crucial development opportunity in Valencia, the Bologna factory's leadership remains steadfast in its long-term vision, a fully fit Marquez leading the charge in 2026. The Sepang test in February 2026 will now be the first major outing for Marquez since his injury, marking his anticipated return to full fitness and, honestly, the official start of Ducati's next chapter with the Spaniard spearheading their campaign. For now, all eyes are on Bulega's Jerez test, which could serve as a pivotal stepping stone in Ducati's evolving development structure and perhaps, the beginning of a new era for the Italian powerhouse. Marc Marquez might be unable to take advantage of MotoGP's new injured rider test rule before returning to competition in 2026. The newly crowned champion, who fractured his right shoulder after a Mandalika collision triggered by Marco Bezzecchi, will also miss next weekend's Portuguese Grand Prix. That's his third absence in a row, making him eligible for the special one-day test. Introduced this season following a proposal from Aprilia, the rule allows riders sidelined for at least 3 consecutive events or 45 days to complete a private test to gauge their fitness before rejoining the MotoGP grid. The test isn't mandatory, by the way. Jorge Martin was the first, and so far, only rider to benefit, completing a day on an RSGP at Misano, Aprilia's designated test track, before his return at Brno. However, in Marquez's case, the regulation may not be of practical use. Under the rules, the injury test can only be held at a circuit where the manufacturer is allowed to test, according to their concession rules and/or test circuit choice, if applicable, or on any circuit where no further MotoGP Grand Prix is scheduled to take place following the test in the same season. In MotoGP, a season is defined as starting on the day after the final race of the year and finishing on the day of the final race of the following year. There's also a separate definition covering the 3 consecutive event absence. Then there's the MotoGP winter test ban for contracted riders to consider, which runs from December 1st through January 31st. That leaves Marquez with a narrow window of just November 17th to 30th to hold an injury test in 2025, and he'd need to do it at one of Ducati's designated test tracks. In other words, that's likely in cold and maybe even wet conditions in Europe. While he could technically complete the test on February 1st or 2nd, after the winter ban, and just before the official Sepang test, February 3rd to 5th, Ducati would face major logistical challenges flying personnel and machinery from Europe to Malaysia in time. Private testing at Sepang is also ruled out, including the shakedown from January 29th to 31st, since if it's not a manufacturer's designated test track, the injury test venue needs to be where no further MotoGP Grand Prix is scheduled to take place following the test in the same season. The 2026 Malaysian MotoGP takes place on October 30th through November 1st. All things considered, Marquez looks most likely to check his fitness on a Panigale superbike in January, then ride a Desmosedici for the first time since Indonesia at the start of the official Sepang test.